renewed energy after the Thanksgiving holidays. I hope all of you had a good Thanksgiving holiday with your family and friends. Thank you to all of you who are with us today, joining us for this kickoff of the 2014 AgrAbility Virtual National Training Workshop. I hope you will take a full advantage of the excellent webinar sessions that are scheduled for this week. And I'd like to express also thanks and gratitude to the National AgrAbility team for organizing the virtual NTW. I bring you greetings from the United States Department of Agriculture, National Institute of Food and Agriculture, and specifically from the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community, where my position is housed, as well as from the Institute of Food Production and Sustainability, which houses Division of Agricultural Systems, division that's led by Brad Rain. So just for the benefit of those of you who might not be familiar with NIFA, I just wanted to share this organizational structure that we have at NIFA to give you some sense of what institutes and divisions we have over here. I always like sharing these with AgrAbility folks to give you some sense also who's in the neighborhood in a way on this end and who might be a good resource for you. NIFA is one of the 4 USDA agencies that make up USDA's Research, Education, and Economics mission area. NIFA, though, does not perform any research in-house. We support research, education, and extension by providing grants and then also providing staff in terms of national program leaders and program specialists and assistants who provide then assistance to the grants that go out there, and we provide that assistance and then leadership at a national level for the projects that are primarily funded at the local level, state level, or regional levels. As you know, NIFA has 5 priorities. There are food security, hunger, climate change, sustainable energy, childhood obesity, and food safety. However, NIFA's portfolio has much broader focus than that. We work in the area of improving agricultural productivity, creating new products, protecting animal and plant health, promoting sound human nutrition and health, strengthening children, youth, and families, and revitalizing rural American communities. And I hope you can get some sense of that from this chart, the organizational chart that you right now see on the screen. NIFA's competitive programs that support most of our activity in the area of agricultural safety and health are housed within 2 NIFA institutes that I mentioned earlier, the Institute of Food Production and Sustainability and the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community. And when you think of Institute of Youth, Family, and Community, you might want to think about it also as an institute that contributes and supports the human dimension of agriculture. Within that institute, you'll find that we have for headquarters, we have youth development, we have human development folks, which falls under family and consumer sciences, where we have program leaders in the area of military programs, financial literacy, disaster preparedness, and such. So you're in a good company with the team that you have here at the national level, and in terms of what you might be looking to connect your AgrAbility project to moving forward. Let me see. Yes, our AgrAbility staff is small, but we're mighty. We have 2 national program leaders. For those of you who are not familiar, again, with our leadership on this end, I provide primary leadership for the AgrAbility program. Our secondary national program leader for AgrAbility is Dennis Abadagi. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with him. He serves as an NPL for Small Smart Farm Research and Extension Program Development. And he works in partnerships and collaborative efforts with Landgrant University partners and other stakeholders in the area of small farm and ranch issues and concerns. He works on formulating and guiding broad-scale efforts to assist small farmers to improve their income levels and their economic viability. And you will hear also Dennis's name come up in relationship to the Beginning Farmers and Ranchers program. We also have, starting this year, a new program specialist. I have been with the AgrAbility for 3 years, and every year we seem to get a new program specialist, but we've every year been blessed with some outstanding folks coming our way. This year, and hopefully for a longer time to come, we have Leland Dixon with us. She as Dennis Sabadagi, she's with the Division of Agricultural Systems. Leland has recently joined us here at NIFA, I think maybe a couple of months ago. She has a bachelor's degree in agricultural sciences and plant science from Southern University A&M College, and she has a master's degree in plant sciences from Florida A&M University. She has done a lot of work in the area of extension. She's worked as an extension agent on commercial horticulture at the University of Florida. She's worked as a soil conservationist with NRCS in Georgia and Maryland. And she was also a training specialist with the University of Hawaii in the area of national disaster preparedness. As I said, we're lucky and fortunate and just overjoyed to have Leland with us. She will be working with us, providing support for the for the AgrAbility program, but she will also be working on sustainable agricultural research and education program and other programs as deemed needed. I wanted us to, just before I move on to federal updates, budget updates, since we are already in fiscal year 2015, wanted us to have a very quick look at what the funding highlights were from 2014. Just to remind us all, the fiscal year here for us goes from beginning of October to the end of September of the next year. So for 2015, it started this October. But let's see what happened in 2014, because it has some relevance for us as far as current funding situation also goes. Quickly, as you know, we were able to give out approximately $4.1 million in awards in fiscal year 14. Have different buttons here to move the slides. We were able to support 6 continuing state and regional AgrAbility projects. We were able to support our one national AgrAbility project, which is the one that's housed at Purdue University. And then this comes around every 4 years or so. We are in a position where we're awarding a lot of new funding for a lot of new SRAPs. In fiscal year 14, we awarded funding for 14 new SRAPs. Congratulations to all of you who are either starting their first year of their first AgrAbility project through us, but also congratulations and kudos to those of you who are returning grantees. Just to give you some sense of the process that we had on this end, we had about 20 applications that were accepted for review and then went through the expert panel review. I have seen on a lot of programs a lot of good proposals, but what I've seen in relationship to AgrAbility this year was high quality. A lot of high quality, a lot of really good proposals. And I'm saying this so that those of you who perhaps represent AgrAbility projects that were not funded this year just so to give, for you to know that you were in a very good company, and our limitation was that we simply did not have enough funding to go beyond those 14 new SREP projects. Most of the projects that applied were highly rated, which gave quite a work to the panel when it came to ranking everybody. So kudos to everybody who applied, and congratulations to those of you who were recommended for awards. For the second year in a row, we were also able to provide a little bit of additional funding to the National AgrAbility project. I do want to mention that in the previous fiscal year 2013, we were able to allocate much more. And then to our thanks and satisfaction, and we're pleased to see that NAP did the most it could with the funding that it received, the additional funds it received in fiscal year 2013, and the team was able to leverage private funds that helped support some of its outreach to 1890s and farmer veterans and 1994s. So this year we were able to allocate to NAP just a little bit, not even close to what we had in 2013, but just a little bit of funds to maintain some of that activity. And as I said again, thanks to the funds they leveraged in the previous year through other sources, they're able to continue to do some of this outreach to underserved populations and have made great strides. And I thank and appreciate everything that's been done so far. I did also want to mention that one thing that we did in fiscal year 14 with the funds in fiscal year 14 is that all SREPs received about 180,000 per year. So we had some of the continuing SREPs, as you know, who in the prior year were approved to receive 162, and this is 162,000. And this was the amount that was reduced over the course of the past 2-3 years because of the budget situation here. And so one effort that the team on this end made in great collaboration with Brad Rain and others in the administration here is to push for a decision to be made and approved that everybody, all of the SREPs, be brought up to the same funding level. And our hope is, of course, that we can maintain, if not approve down the road, but at least maintain that funding level moving forward. So let's talk about fiscal year 15 budget and what the current situation is. As you know, we are currently have continuing resolution. What that means, and we have the continuing resolution until about December 11th, which I think is next Thursday. What that means is that in terms of funding, we're operating on fiscal year 2014 funds. So as far as the AgrAbility is then concerned, at this point, it doesn't change really anything. We expect that hopefully for 2015, if we stay with the continuing resolution, that the program will still have somewhere around $4 million that we are able to then provide to support the continuations, and we'll see. I don't know at this point, but perhaps some new SREPs as well. As you know, in early November, midterm elections started, and we know from those midterm elections that took place in November that at least 181 Democrats and 243 Republicans will be in the House when the 114th Congress is sworn in. And in the Senate, at least 46 Democrats and 53 Republicans will be seated when the 114th Congress begins. In addition to Republicans gaining control of the Senate for the first time in 8 years, but also maintaining their control of the House, the midterm elections will also result in some changes to the roster of committees that are of importance to agriculture. And I'm mentioning this to you as a way of encouraging you to kind of keep abreast of what's happening to the extent that you can of what's happening with the budget and what might be happening with those committees. And in terms of the committees, I'm talking specifically about House and Senate Agriculture and Agricultural Appropriations Committees. The 114th Congress is expected to be sworn in early January 2015. So the question at this point that I hear raised a lot that we're all asking about is what's going to happen after December 11th in terms of the funding. And some predict that Congress may elect to pass another short-term continuing resolution so that the new Congress, when they are sworn in, as I said, in early January, so that they can then make decision on what to do. Some are also saying that the 114th Congress may want to start fresh and focus more on fiscal year 2016 budget, in which case they might choose to approve continuing resolution that we currently have to approve it and have it go all the way through fiscal year 2015. One way or the other, I think we will know more in about 10 days when we get to December 11th. So if you have any questions about the budget, I'll try to keep you abreast of what I know through the NEP team. And if there are certain highlights that, that would be good for you to follow, or, I'll try to share that information with you. But at this point, you know about as much as I do. So what do we expect for AgrAbility in fiscal year 2015? At this point that I can share, that we know is coming down the pike. So let me see. You heard me talk about us holding a stakeholders input session, listening session this fall. So we have date here. You will be receiving this announcement via email today or tomorrow. I did want to give you some heads up. We have time set for December 18th, which I think is Thursday, from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully that time will work for also our colleagues on the West Coast. And listening session is going to be about the RFA that we had in 2014, and we welcome any and all comments about any aspect of that RFA. I hope that those of you who are able to join the listening session and contribute will also share your thoughts about not just the budget aspect, but also about the program itself, the requirements, different requirements that we have, and the expectation that we have when it comes to your proposals. We do want to see some collaborations. We do want to see support for the evaluation to the extent that states are able to do that. If you think there are better ways, more progressive ways, different ways to do some of the work we're currently doing, this is really a wonderful opportunity for you to share those thoughts with us. I also encourage folks, even though we're going to have that session, and you'll see this, you'll get this in an email, we have the listening sessions set up as a webinar. You are more than welcome to write up your thoughts, your feedback, and then send it to us prior to the webinar or after the webinar. I have listed here also, and this is what you'll find in any of our RFAs, that there's a link, email link to policy@nifa.usda.gov. That link also allows you to submit your thoughts on the latest RFA. I have received over the past couple of years few comments that have come through that email, and they do come to me. We just have this particular email account so that actually everything goes into centralized location, and then it's shared with appropriate NPLs. Or you can always send your thoughts, remarks directly to me if that works easier for you. but I encourage you to tune in and participate if you can on December 18th. As far as the 2015 RFA goes, I expect that we might have something in late winter, and what I mean by that is we are expecting to have something on this end, hopefully to the policy sometime in late January, early February. Right now, it's taking quite a bit of time for the RFAs that are being submitted to go through the approval process, and I think some of that is delayed because of where we are with the continuing resolution right now. So there's a little bit of a backlog there. But I do want to reassure you that the policy and our folks in this end are doing what they can. Reason more than also for us to have the listening session in December so that the feedback, the input that we might get from you, that we can give it a chance to be considered for the 2015 RFA. For those of you who are leading AgrAbility projects that are currently not in their final year, please do consider serving on our AgrAbility panels. It's a wonderful way for you to refresh your memory or to see for the first time how funding recommendations for AgrAbility are made, and then also what some of the new kind of new priorities might be cropping up for the panels. I do want to mention that this past year in fiscal year 14, we also tried to pull in more subject matter experts, including more subject matter experts in particular areas where we wanted to make sure that when you get your feedback on the proposal, that you get a particular feedback. So for example, since we ask for you to, in your proposals, to address what kind of impacts your project might have made in the past, to talk a little bit about some of your state data and such, we made sure that we have a program evaluation expert on the panel who can, with confidence and validity, high validity, evaluate the proposals and then give you feedback that can hopefully be helpful to you down the road. And so we're investing a little bit more into having subject matter experts, mainly, as I said, for the purposes of being able to provide you with the feedback on your proposals that will be helpful to you down the road, whether you get funded or not recommended for funding in a given year. In terms of some of the other federal updates, I thought that for today it might be helpful for you to hear, I've listed here for you to hear about Beginning Farmers and Ranchers Development Program, just where they are right now. Rural Health and Safety Education Program, Rural America at a Glance. It's a report that came out very recently from ERS. I do want to speak with you a little bit about Extension Committee on Organization and Policy, or ECOP's Health and Wellness Framework. And then I will conclude with a very brief mention of regional rural development centers and the benefit of partnering with them. So Beginning Farmers and Ranchers Farmer and Rancher Development Program, their 2015 RFA is to be released any day now. In expectation of that, the team, the BFRDP team here at NIFA, has already prepared for 2015 applicant webinar. They have a date and a link there that you can see, December 9th. Hopefully, if RFA is published sometime soon, hopefully this week. If not, they will have to, of course, postpone the date. But right now, we're looking at December 9th from 2 until 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and you have a link provided there. Once the RFA is published. It's publicly available. You will see emails coming out about the RFA and about this webinar. But I did want to share this one with you so that you might put it on your calendar in case you're interested in joining the webinar. The webinar will be recorded, so should you miss it, you should be able to tune in later on. Also, I wanted to share with you the link that has more about the program and different materials related to BFRDP, as well as some of the resources, including lists of previous grantees. BFRDP program, as you know, was mentioned, and some new legislation was developed in the Farm Bill, in the 2014 Farm Bill. And as part of that, it's also noted that BFRDP grantees and AgrAbility grantees can actually partner together, and through BFRDP you can actually ask for some funding to support some of the activities that would link you to AgrAbility. My understanding is that some of our AgrAbility folks, AgrAbility past or current grantees, have gone after BFRDP funding in 2014, and some have been successful, and kudos to those of you who were successful. I encourage all of you to check out this program and see how it might work for you and what it can do for your AgrAbility projects. Rural Health and Safety Program. This is another competitive, extension-focused competitive program that I oversee, that's with the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community. It's kind of a gem of a grants program. We always say, no matter how much outreach we do about this particular funding opportunity, the program itself does not seem to be sufficiently discovered. But it is open, just as a reminder, it's open to 1862s, 1890s, and 1994s. It is one-year funding, which is different than AgrAbility or BFRDP. And in fiscal year 2014, we were able to award approximately $1.4 million through grants. Grants were up to $150,000, and we were able to support 12 new projects. I was also pleased to see that some of our AgrAbility folks have applied for this funding to support some of your other work that you might be doing with farmers or with rural communities. Kudos to you, and I encourage, just as with BFRDP, encourage all of you to check out this program. We expect that the 2015 request for applications for rural health and safety education will also go out, be published by early spring of next year. And as you see at the bottom, there's a link to the program itself and a list of previous grantees if you would like to check that out. As another resource, excuse me, I wanted also to bring up to your attention today Rural America at a Glance report. In November of this year, the Economic Research Service issued its latest edition of Rural America at a Glance. And the report brings up a lot of interesting data and a really an important picture of currently where the rural America is important for us who are in the field of focusing on human dimension of agriculture. For example, the total rural population has declined slightly, has been declining for several years. And part of it, the decline has to do with slowing of the natural population growth, which is failing to offset the migration from rural areas to more urban areas. However, the numbers for rural America in terms of their population are pretty low, and it's interesting to watch what's going to be, what the trend has been so far and what's going to happen moving forward with all of the movement, migration of the population more towards the urban areas. The report also talks about rural employment, noting that it's remaining well below where it was in 2007. The rural unemployment rate has declined in line with the national trends of unemployment. But the report also brings attention to the fact that the most recent data show that the evidence of slight decline in poverty at the national level can be detected, but there is somewhat conflicting data when it comes to rural United States, and it's in part based on where you're looking at and which rural area or region of the United States. The report also talks about the fact that the most highly educated members of the working age population continue to move, migrate to and more concentrate in more urban areas, where of course the personal economic returns to higher education are greater. But what this trend will mean for rural America long term remains to be seen. I encourage you to check out this report. I provide here a link both to the report, to the 2014 report, as well to a link on USDA website where you can see where USDA has been making investments in the area in rural communities throughout the United States. I encourage you to check out the report, mainly to consider how it might inform your work in AgrAbility, both in terms of the outreach that you do to your clients, the service that you provide to your clients, but also in regards to the communication that you might be doing within your state at the regional level or a national level about the relevancy of your AgrAbility project in your respective states. So it helps if you can connect your the situation in your state or data from your state to reports such as the Rural America at a Glance report. I think it can strengthen, as I said, relevancy of your programs and need for resources that you might see. I also wanted to share with you a little bit about health and wellness framework. I don't know how many of you might be familiar with this. Perhaps those of you who are more linked or connected to the human sciences work at your university might have heard of, might be more likely to have heard about this. But in couple of years ago, and in 2012, I think the Extension Committee on Organization and Policy, ECOP, has decided that given the national trends that we have in health and the current assets that Extension has, they decided that they need to look at what are the emerging needs and responsiveness capability of cooperative extension. And ECOP concluded it's critical time for them to create a new programmatic focus in this area for the cooperative extension, to address it and then to frame it. And so in late 2012, the ECOP Health Task Force was established, and they were charged to complete 3 goals over the course of 2013 calendar year. They were asked to identify priorities for cooperative extension health programs for the next 3 to 5 years. They were asked to identify outcome indicators for each priority area, and then to identify potential partners, public and private partners, including non-traditional partners, who could be engaged in research development, program implementation, outcome reporting, and such. And so as an outcome of the work that this task force did, so here on the slide you will see I provide a link to the executive summary, the latest executive summary that the ECOP task force has published or made publicly available. There's also a link to the full report. So here what you see on this screen is a Cooperative Extension's National Framework for Health and Wellness. After considerable review of health priorities, both internal and external to cooperative extension, the Health Task Force determined that it was essential for cooperative extension to align its national framework for health and wellness with the framework that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services already had. And using that framework that HHS has, the task force then worked to identify priorities that are within what you see here as the orange kind of ring in this framework. They looked, and you have in there, you have health policy issues, education, health literacy, integrated nutrition, health and environment. These are now some of the priorities that the task force brought up. But they wanted to look at the issues that address better what cooperative extension priorities should be in the next 3 to 4 years. And so they identified 6 strategic priorities. They are integrated, as you see. I hope you see it on the PowerPoint here. Integrated nutrition, health, environment, and agricultural systems, which is practically saying that different systems should work together. They also identify health literacy as one of the priorities for extension, health insurance literacy, chronic disease prevention and management of chronic diseases, positive youth development for health, and health policy issues, education on health policy issues. And so since bringing up these 6 strategic also program priorities, the task force has also provided pretty clear recommendations and on how what can be done, what can be, could be, should be done. And then the task force has also laid out some implementation plan. I wanted for you, in case you are not aware of this framework, to be aware of it, to become aware of it, and to become a little bit more knowledgeable about it. I think when you look at this framework, it's very easy to see where AgrAbility, with its work and outreach to disabled farmers and ranchers and their families, where AgrAbility fits. I feel that the AgrAbility should be at this table, should be participating in the conversation about the indicators, about how do we define through cooperative extension, what some of these health priorities, how we should move forward on these health priorities and on reporting on them. And so I wanted to make that link for you as part of this update that I'm giving today. Last but not least, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to share with you just a little bit about regional rural development centers. I'm sure most, if not all of you, are familiar with regional rural development centers and the work that they are doing. If you are not, again, I encourage you to find out more about centers in your respective regions and to think about how you can inform the work that they do and how they can actually assist what you're doing in the area of AgrAbility. Here on the slides, you see the 4 regions where the 4 centers are. And I just wanted to highlight for you what some of their role is. They are excellent at facilitating network development and providing expertise to stakeholder groups. They will assist faculty in securing funding for projects that are of regional or national interest. They will help promote development of working groups. They are also linked up and support e-extension communities of practice. And they work really hard on connecting multi-state regional projects, kind of knitting the country together, as they say. Here on this slide, I just wanted to share with you where the centers are located. The one for northeastern region is at Penn State. The North Central Region Center is at Michigan State University. Southern Rural Development Center is at Mississippi State University, and then Western Rural Development Center is at Utah State University. On the right side of the slide, you'll see contact information for the main points of contact. Again, as I said, look at the regional centers and be informed about what it is that they are doing. Over the course of just the last 2 years, I have seen the centers get involved in more work at the, of course, regional, but also national level, and the funding coming from other agencies, such as, for example, SAMHSA, to support or to actually support work on the ground where actually regional centers step in. They might go after the funds and then work with a cooperative extension to deliver a product or a line of products. So it's already been established with also our other federal partners here that regional rural development centers are a good regional partner. And so, from that point of view, then I think it behooves us all, and it's helpful to the centers as well as it could be helpful to AgrAbility projects to link up with the regional rural development centers as well. In case you also are not familiar with this, each regional rural development center has an evaluation team who is working on, all of them have actually gone at a certain, up to a certain level through identifying indicators of community development and workforce leadership development and such, and what it means. And they are now in the process also of defining what rural vitality means. And so the centers are also involved in seeing what's happening with ECOP's ECOP Health Task Force Health and Wellness Framework. So you have these different teams from different sides actually coming together around health and safety issues of concern to cooperative extension, that cooperative extension can get more engaged in and get more visibility, and also by that through networking and such, through partnership, to also attract more federal and non-federal partners. All of this is happening really, really quickly. I sit on the evaluation teams of the regional development centers when they have, sometimes monthly, sometimes quarterly, when they have their evaluation conversations about where they are, where different regions are with their indicators, and how that's coming along. There's conversation as well about including now these health and wellness, the discussion and indicators in as well, and what would those matrices look like. So you might want to be at the table if you can be, and see again, as I said, what the center can do for you. NIFA has a liaison to regional rural development centers, and most of you might know him or know of him. It's Brent Alrod. So we have good people from this side as well linked to that. So with that, I think I'd like to encourage you to stay connected. Here's my name and contact information. I love hearing from all of you, knowing what is it that you're also looking more in terms of making some of these connections. As I said, we have excellent people on this end who can assist and facilitate some of the connections, either to health, ECOP, Health Task Force, to regional rural development centers, to colleagues at ERS who are working on looking at rural America and such. So do think of us as a resource and reach out to us as a resource. Please do stay connected. That is all that I had prepared for the federal update for today. I would like to ask if anyone from any region or any state, from those who are still on the call, has any questions for me. I'd be more than glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Ada. We'll be preparing some questions for you. I know some have come up in the chat window. I'm going to go ahead and switch our room a little bit here. And I'm going to activate my camera for a minute. Again, we appreciate all that useful information. Cliff is preparing some questions. If you have more questions that have not been submitted into the chat window, please go ahead and type those in, or again, you may raise your hand using the raise hand icon, and we will attempt to activate your web microphone so you can ask your questions verbally. While we're doing that, I want to go ahead and open our polls so we can get your feedback. I'm assuming most people here are from AgrAbility, but I see that some are not primarily from AgrAbility too, so it's good to have a variety of people. Again, their sessions will be recorded and archived, and the URL for that is on the questions pod at the top. Okay, thank you for your input on that. It looks like we've got a variety of different backgrounds and affiliations here. Next question asks, and again, these are just our standard questions for every webinar. If the information that was presented was valuable and met your expectations. Okay, just a couple more seconds on that one. Okay, thank you for your feedback. Appreciate that. Next question asks about the technology and whether that was usable and effective for you today. If you had any specific issues, again, we'd appreciate you typing those in the chat window so that we can possibly troubleshoot those in the future. We realize that people are coming from various technologies and different internet connections, so the more information we have, the better. Okay, looks like most people got along pretty well. And finally, we ask, based on today's session, would you attend another session in this series? And again, in terms of sessions in this series, tomorrow morning's webinar begins at 11 Eastern Time. That is on marketing and has some specific things that I think AgrAbility projects will be glad to know about, and anybody working in especially in a nonprofit organization, I think would benefit from that. Tomorrow afternoon session, for those who maybe did not notice in the email, we had to substitute the AT in a box will not be presented, and instead we're going to be doing an agritourism webinar at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you were anticipating the AT in a box, I'm sorry about that, but we should have a good webinar on agritourism instead. Okay, thank you for your input on that question. And now I'll turn things back over to Cliff and to Aida to answer some of the questions that have been submitted in the chat window.
Okay, so my speaker should be on. Let me see, I can start the camera as well. So the first question I'm seeing is, if there is funding for new SREPs, do you have a ballpark for when the RFP, request for proposals, would occur? As I said earlier, I would expect it late in this winter, which is probably sometime in February or early spring, if there are delays that are caused by the continuing resolution. I remember that we had that definitely happening last year, where there was quite a bit of a delay. I don't expect that level of delay this time around, but we're definitely having requests for applications coming out, and I'll keep you posted on the date as it gets closer. When is the expiration for the 6 continuing states? I think we have at least 3 continuing straps currently who are in their final 4th year of funding, which means they would need to reapply. After that, I think we have, let me see here, I think we have one, so they're staggered, of course, because of, when they receive the funding. But for the fiscal year 2015 funding, for those of you who are interested, I think we're having at least 3 who are right now in their last year, which means they would be either reapplying or perhaps not. But I don't expect, given how many grantees we currently have, and that 2014 is what happened in 2014 is what we pretty much have once every 4 years, that we have so many openings for new projects. I expect we'll have much fewer openings in 2015. At first glance, the question is, at first glance, the national framework appears to focus on physical health. How much does it support and encourage behavioral health, mental health? That's an excellent question. I think it supports it, though it's an interesting, actually, also observation that, to you, the framework itself might not actually carry across the message that behavioral and mental health aspect of wellness and health is represented, something that, for the task force perhaps to think about moving forward. But I know from folks here from the NIFA side who were involved with the task force, I know that they are high proponents of behavioral health, mental health, physical health. We've had youth development folks, obviously, on the task force. We've had I think our best health and wellness person on this end on the task force. And so I think the framework is inclusive of behavioral aspects as well as physical, social, emotional, and such. I was a member of the ECOP task force. The strategies have a wide focus. Thank you. The behavioral mental health would probably fall under health literacy strategy. Thank you. Scott Loveridge oversaw an online toolkit that provides, among other information, organizations with the behavioral mental health aspect. Absolutely. Regional Rural Development Center is also, as I mentioned earlier, one that has wonderfully thought through, and now I think in their 2nd year, perhaps entering 3rd year, partnership funding, actually, and through that partnership with SAMHSA. So I encourage you to check out that work as well. But thank you for this comment and clarification as well.
Okay, I think that was our final question, unless somebody else has one. Looks like somebody's typing right now. We'll wait just a second to see if that's a question. Looks like just another thank you. So, Aida, we again appreciate your information today and your support of our project at the federal level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks to all of you. We appreciate and commend your work, and I hope you take time, all of you, I hope you take time to think about your projects in light of just how beneficial they are to your states and to rural United States and to farmers and ranchers, and what an immense and priceless contribution you are making through your work and your dedication to rural United States and farmers and ranchers and their families. So thanks to all of you as well. You know how to reach me, and you have ways of reaching me. Thank you. All the best to everybody.
Okay, we'll put up Aida's contact information here for a little while in case you want that. And otherwise, we hope to see you tomorrow and on Thursday for the rest of our sessions.